Multiple choice test taking strategies. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to identify and use various strategies to answer multiple choice questions. Multiple choice tests ask a question and give you several answer options. You're going to choose the answer that you think is correct, and there are multiple different strategies that you can use when taking these types of tests. You've probably already seen these tests throughout your education, and you will continue to see them as you get older. It's important to know these strategies each and every time that you take one, not depending on what you are learning. First, you must always read the directions. Always read the instructions at the top of the test and pay attention to special rules. Sometimes it'll tell you to choose 2 answers or pick the answer that fits best. It's important to make sure that you recognize the wording in the directions. You also need to read every question completely. Read each question carefully before you even look at the answers. Make sure you understand what the question is asking. For example, this question says, which quotation best supports a theme of the story? Well, if I don't know what theme means, then I probably won't be able to answer this question. So you have to be able to identify the theme first. You also want to make sure that you look at all the answers. Even if you look at the first one and you think it's correct, you might want to keep looking because there might be a better choice that pops up later. While more than one answer could make sense, in this case, where it says which statement best supports a central claim of the story, even though there might be more than one that does make sense, you have to pick the best one. Using the process of elimination. This is one of my absolute go-tos and favorites when taking a multiple choice test. You always want to cross out the answers that you know are not correct, and this makes it easier to focus on the remaining options. For example, let's take a look at this question. Read this phrase from paragraph 5. Hooves kicking puffs of dust and tail streaming behind him like a banner. The author most likely uses this phrase to A. Highlight Ranger's speed, B. Show Ranger's refusal to be tamed, C. Illustrate Ranger's desire for freedom, or D. Indicate Ranger's distance from the corral. Now, I know you didn't read this story, so I am going to model this for you, but I just want to show you how I would use the process of elimination here. First, I would get rid of D, because it doesn't show me anything about his distance from the corral. I also would eliminate B, because it doesn't show me any type of refusal to be tamed. And lastly, I'm going to eliminate C, illustrate Ranger's desire for freedom, which leaves me with A, highlighting Ranger's speed. I use the process of elimination to break down my options. A lot of times you're going to end up with 2 options that might seem correct, and you have to just go with your gut. You have to go with the one that you initially thought makes the most sense. Do not overthink it. As I just mentioned before, trust your instincts. Oftentimes your first choice is the right one, and try not to second guess yourself too much. Watch out for those tricky words. A lot of times there can be words like always, never, all, or none, and they can be tricky. They usually mean that the statement has no exceptions. So in this case, it says, how does the author mainly develop the narrator's point of view in the story? While more than one answer may make sense, you have to pick the one that mainly develops the story. Another strategy that's useful is to skip and return. If you're stuck on a question, you want to skip it and come back to it later. A lot of times when we take multiple choice questions, we don't have an endless supply of time, so we don't want to waste too much time on one question. Create a system for yourself that allows you to mark up the questions that you want to return to. Something that I do often is if I have a question that I know I want to look back at, I'll circle the question number so that when I'm looking back at my test and checking it over, I know that I have to revisit that one. Finally, you have to double check your work. Once you finish, go back and check your answers if time allows. Make sure you didn't miss anything. Sometimes you can just flip the page and miss a whole set of questions. You have to check every single one. And sometimes you may even have to match your test with where you transfer your answers. It's important to stay calm and focused. Test anxiety is something that many children and adults experience. Take deep breaths if you're feeling nervous, and remember, you've prepared for this and you know how to handle it. Now it's your turn. Let's take a look at our practice problem. What is the best way to stay healthy? Well, I read the question. I noticed that the word best is underlined. Do you think it's A, eat lots of candy and soda every day? B, eat fruits and vegetables, exercise, and drink water? C, watch TV and play video games all day? Or D, skip breakfast and lunch to stay skinny? Definitely not A. I know that eating lots of candy and drinking soda every day is not the best way to stay healthy. I'm also going to cross off C because I know that watching TV and playing video games is not really good for my brain. Now I have skip breakfast and lunch or eat fruits and vegetables, exercise, and drink water. Well, it doesn't sound efficient to skip breakfast and lunch to stay skinny because I will just be starving all day and you never want to eat too little. So I think the best answer is B, eat fruits and vegetables, exercise, and drink water. Good luck working on your multiple choice questions. If you have any trouble, you can always look back at this video to revisit your strategies.